Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Mid-South Wrestling Review Series for the 9th of July, 1983. Easy for me to say. We move quickly through the summer. Again, the goal is to have this series completed. Hopefully, I'd like to say by Monday, but who knows what my schedule is going to look like. In any event, we move to July 9th. This episode, North American Heavyweight Champion, the Junkyard Dog, is your main feature, and obviously the dog is a main feature almost any time he's in the area. Johnny Rich and Magnum TA versus, I think it's Doug Vines and Steve Williams. Williams looks much different here. He's kind of trimmed down a little bit with kind of I don't know that I'd say kind of a more tight haircut, but he looks different. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing. And we also see a very rare highlight with Dusty Rhodes here against Nick Bockwinkel, which is a weird combination as well. So lots of things intended in this match that necessarily one wouldn't think as a major deal, but on this week's show, but it's here. Please like, subscribe, comment if you like this series. Going to do as many as we can. Obviously, I've got some life challenges coming up, so content may slow down for a few weeks, sometime in January, but don't know about that. Not 100% there with that either. Anyway, we'll be back as soon as possible if that slowdown does take place. And needless to say, this is a time in Mid-South where they are sort of rebuilding a little bit, I guess I would say. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's clear that the nature of this time in Mid-South versus, let's say, this time in 84 is majorly different. Johnny Rich and Magnum TA is a perfect example. Magnum TA goes on to be one of the biggest stars in wrestling, period. Within, if you think about it, 3 years. Actually, probably within 2, because he's there in 85. But here with Johnny Rich, he's he's a above average enhancement talent guy. But he is there, and match is super simple. We kind of go to, some shots wherever we can. Magnum TA obviously using power early and often, and it is clear that he is, in fact, the star of this particular program. We kind of see him with arm drags, but also we begin to see kind of the move towards power offense. The power offense not quite yet including the belly-to-belly suplex. That push for that particular maneuver doesn't come along as quickly, but we see him with arm drags, arm bars, and the like. And Rich, again, is a guy who is not fully functional here. Vines bounces around with a backdrop, among other things, and big arm drags there, and a deep elbow drop, and ultimately, we kind of see that going to Magnum again with the arm bars. We kind of see them work the arm for the majority of the match. It's pretty simple. It's pretty amazing, and there's a lot there that when you look at where Magnum goes, you can see even this is a good place for him to be. He does get a victory for his team with a dropkick under the chin of his opponent, among other things, and Magnum finally does get that full victory going into, or right after, a kind of the both members of the team are part of that double atomic drop. 1, 2, 3 gets the victory there. Highlights, as I mentioned, of Dusty Rhodes and Nick Bockwinkel. Bockwinkel bouncing around and has been caught with, and this is a bull rope match they're highlighting. Bockwinkel gets caught with the bell right across the noggin. Bockwinkel surprisingly not bleeding from the shot, at least not at first, but ends up bleeding a few minutes later. Bockwinkel is on his knees fighting with Dusty Rhodes. Rhodes taking a few shots with the bullwhip match or the bullwhip itself, and cuts off on Bockwinkel. Manages to hook in a figure four. Weird to see Dusty Rhodes with the figure four. Not that he doesn't use it, but every time I see him use it, I think of his feud with Ric Flair. Rhodes manages to get a pinfall victory, which is kind of weird, but kind of knocks him out with the cowbell, and away we go. King Kong Bundy in a handicap match against Jerry Caldwell and Ron Ellis. King Kong Bundy needing more competition. They kind of slowed down on the 5 count thing a little bit. However, he still does do it from time to time. King Kong Bundy, obviously a major guy that they haven't fully pushed to the moon yet, but the push is coming. Shrug off by Bundy, and again, some shots for Bundy. Pretty simply put. And we see Bundy with a kick under the chin. Doesn't get all he wants on that, but it's there. And again, we kind of see hard shots for Bundy, and ultimately big knee drop, and it's there. So a hard shot on the back of the neck for Bundy, and again we kind of begin to see him take on both guys, and he is dominant in that pursuit. Splashes in the corner, as one would expect, and he does use the 5 count post-match there. Ted DiBiase and Mr. Olympia, JYD, and Jim Duggan. We've seen this before. It has been mainly with no finish. I don't think that is a surprise to most people, because you're trying to get more out of the area, and you're trying to get more out of everything. And so DiBiase and Olympia are not happy with having to wait. DiBiase and Duggan chase each other around on the outside of the ring yet again. The Junkyard Dog gets laid out, as does Olympia. Olympia is brought out, and again we kind of see, actually this is the repeat, of last week's match, so that's already been covered. So if you didn't join us last week, kind of there, I for some reason I wrote it down as a separate match, my mistake. Hacksaw Butcher Reed and Mr. Wrestling 2 are up next, and again Butcher Reed still trying to get his hands fully on the Junkyard Dog. That has not happened to the level that he wants to. We see him interfere in tag team matches Dog's part of. We also see a lot of power assimilation by Butch Reed, and he manages to go at that pretty aggressively, assertively. Short shots and clubbing shots to the back of the neck by Reed, who continues to be as aggressive as he can possibly be, and stomp across the midsection. Then we see the shots of the knee lift by Wrestling 2 eventually, and ultimately hard shots there by Mr. Wrestling 2, and again several shots along the midsection, and a big knee lift by Wrestling 2, who continues to be rather aggressive, assertive. Big shoulder tackle by Butch Reed, and the almost win, but Wrestling 2 lands with his leg across the bottom rope. That gives him an advantage. And up we come. And Reed eventually does get a victory. He hits a series of offensive maneuvers, culminating with the second rope shoulder tackle for that victory. Ted DiBiase and Tim Horner. Odd to see Horner in there with a guy at the level of DiBiase, but this has happened before. This is not their first time wrestling each other. It is more consistent than normal. Horner gets an early pin attempt, some arm drags, arm bars, and the like on DiBiase, and DiBiase is to the outside. We then see DiBiase with the body slam, and again, lots of choking, lots of illegal tactics by the $1 Million Man eventually. And DiBiase does get a victory and cuts things off relatively quickly. Boris Zukov and the Junkyard Dog is your, I guess you'd say, semi-main event, although we do have one more segment after this, so it's not really a long deal because they've only got about 8 minutes left in the program. The Dog and Zukov is the match you'd expect it to be. Dog pretty dominant early, using power. Zurkov coming back. Dog does get a couple of arm drags and the like. Nothing major, but enough to where you can obviously see that they're still trying to put him over pretty strong. Clothesline by the Dog, and the big thump slam in the middle. 1, 2, 3, and over we go. Highlights of Iron Mike Sharp and Kamala. Finally, Kamala getting, I guess you'd say, some continual competition. Kamala, and this match is from the Houston area. It's joined in progress. Kamala with chops, punches, and the like. Pretty basic stuff. Shot against the, on the, shot basically on the midsection, double axe handle type stuff. Kamala actually having a bit of challenge with Mike Sharp, which is interesting to me that they would go there. But Kamala with a big slam, and then, continues with the double chops that he's known for. Double chop to the throat included, big splash, and Kamala gets a victory over the former Louisiana champion and the like. And ultimately, Kamala continues to be one of those almost untouchable guys. Anyway, we will move forward from here and on to the next in the series of programs.